Hello, book friends. Terry from Terry Talks Books, or Ms. Terry B here on YouTube. Welcome. Welcome to my new subscribers. I had another flurry of new subscribers, and I want to welcome you and encourage you to leave comments below. I enjoy that. That is part of my why. Welcome to all of my current subscribers that have been here for a while, whether it's a short while or a long while. Thank you, and I have appreciated your support and friendship throughout the years. Some of you have been here a very long time, and some of us have just actually become friends and talk to each other, not just in videos and in comments. So I think that is wonderful. And so welcome back to all of you. I hope you all find it a nice place to hang out and chat about books. And yeah, I love getting around and seeing what you all are up to too. So anyway, with that said, why is my video late? Some of you have seen that I left a comment in the community notes section saying it would be a little late. I normally get something up towards the end of the week or at least sometime on the weekend. And I knew that that wasn't going to happen. So I left a message. Life has just been all the crazy. I won't get into all the details, but it's just been all the crazy. There have been some things I've needed to take care of. And there have been episodes of where did I put my brain? I'm not doing this multitasking thing very well right now. Distraction. I don't know. Maybe it's the weather, because that was actually the thing that really threw a wrench in it for me, and I knew I was not going to get a video up. We've had weather roll in, and it looks like finally our weather is changing from warm and sunny to cold and freezing and rainy and maybe snowy even within the next week, I guess. In the next day or two, it's going to be down below freezing at night. So that usually happens mid-October. We start getting that. So I have had so much yard work, so much garden work. The trees were not dropping their leaves. They're just hanging on to them. And I thought, oh dear, when this thing finally loses its leaves, I'm going to have a lot of work to do because it's little teeny tiny leaves. It's a beautiful locust tree. I think it's a honey locust tree. I call her Honey. And yes, I named my tree. I'm very fond of her. She's a big old tree, and she provides so much beautiful shade. It's kind of a dense shade because of all the teeny tiny leaves. But when she drops her leaves in the fall, oh dear, I have to clean up after her. So there's that. The rose bushes, they just kept blooming. And suddenly I need to go out there. They're about to drop their leaves, and I need to get out there and finish pruning them. I got the iris beds cut back and dealt with. Harvesting, we're going to be harvesting our chili peppers and tomatoes. They just keep producing because it's just been so warm and sunny, just unseasonably so, and both of those plants will just keep producing. So we've got some work harvesting and prepping those, canning, freezing, things like that. So that is truly, and it is all piling on at once. It's kind of crazy. Usually we're done with this by now, and it spreads itself out a little bit. So, you know, farmers of yore knew this. There are times of the year that just get very busy, and it can happen fast, and you've got a lot of work to do all of a sudden in a short amount of time. So that's what's happening. And it is truly a blessing. It's not really a complaint, but that is what, I am so sore. Oh my goodness. But that is what's been going on. And so there were things that I just had to sit aside. And so now I'm here, and I'm going to be doing a tag video shortly. But before I do that, I want to show you, this is another new mug. Recently, I went on a little trip up into the mountains with my husband. I've talked about that Let's see if covering my face helps at all. But I got this up in the mountain town we went to. It is a dark sky city town. And this artist makes pottery, and one of her themes has to do with the dark sky. So it just intrigued me so much. Looks like little lights maybe on the ground spread out, lights in the sky, maybe some stars. I just thought this was so beautiful. And in this cup, in this mug, I have some Harney and Sons African Autumn tea. And the base in this is a blend, but the base of it is rooibos or red bush tea, which I love. No caffeine. I drink this often. Sometimes I drink this. I also have some just straight rooibos tea, loose leaf, that I will enjoy. I love the taste of it. And I kind of wanted to talk about it because there is a book connection. Long ago, I don't know, when did Alexander McCall Smith start writing his #1 detective ladies agency books? That's when it happened. Whenever that started. My husband and I were both reading those books. And if you haven't read them, they're wonderful. They're charming. They're set in, it's been too long, an African country. If somebody knows, let everyone else know below in the comments. It's eluding me right now, but it's a ladies' detective agency. And these women were drinking tea all day long. And I think they called it red bush. Nobody knew rooibos, the term rooibos at the time. We all learned, I think, when the book came out, when the book series came out. But they were just pounding down this stuff. And my husband and I are looking at each other going, what is this stuff they're drinking? They should be completely jacked up. They're just constant all day long. And so we looked it up and found out red bush tea is rooibos, and it does not have caffeine. In fact, it has anti-inflammatory benefits, I think, and it's just a delightful, soothing drink, no caffeine. I will drink it any time of day. Usually I'm drinking it in the evening, but sometimes I just want I just want a nice hot cup of tea that's not got any caffeine in it. I love the taste of it. So if you haven't tried it out, try it out. Rooibos, Rooibus, I think is how you spell that. So if I remember, I will put that in the description box below. But we learned about it from reading books, and it has turned into a favorite for both of us. So I wanted to mention that. And read the books, drink the tea. Some of you are going to love it. So anyway, what am I actually doing here besides rambling? I'm going to be doing the end of the year book tag. I saw this on Priscilla's channel, and her channel name is Evening Reader, and I will link her below. And I'll be talking more about her soon, so I won't get into that here. But I saw her do this tag, and she didn't know where it started, and I have not been able to figure out the source, who started this tag, who's responsible for starting this. So excuse me, if you know, comment below and I will add that in the description box. But I don't know who started it, and Priscilla didn't know either, but I saw it over there. She was just doing the tag and said, if you want to do this tag, you're tagged. So, and that's kind of how I roll. Nobody tags me anymore. I know I'm starting to sound like Steve Donahue, but hey, Steve, but nobody tags me. Well, it's because I didn't ever do the tags when people would tag me. So they quit tagging me. It's my fault. So I can't guarantee if you tag me that I will do the tag. I just kind of, when I feel like doing a tag, I'll do it. And if I didn't get invited to the party, I invite myself because that's how I roll. So anyway, that's what I'm doing today. There are 6 questions, and I will leave these questions below if you would like to do this tag. The first one, are there any books you started this year that you need to finish? Of course. Of course there are. Too many, quite honestly. I would try to hold them up, but I might have a little knocking everything over incident. I don't want to do that, so I'll just start showing them to you. There are more here than I would like, and I would like to. These are all books that I have started sometime this year. I would like to get them finished by the end of the year, but that is not realistic for me, especially considering the other things I'll be talking about in this tag. So the first one I'll mention, I started Bleak House by Charles Dickens. This is a chunkster. You can see my very pretty copy, and you can see I'm at about page 200. So I've made, where is it? There, I'm at about page 200. This is close to 1,000 pages. I am not going to get this finished by the end of the year. That would be a miracle, but I do want to make more progress on it. Started it in October for Victober. I think I started it October. Anyway, it was for Victober, and I was pretty sure I wouldn't get this read. I read Charles Dickens so slowly, y'all. I enjoy it, but there's something there. I don't want to drag this one out as long as I dragged out David Copperfield. I loved David Copperfield. That's not why it took me so long. I don't want this one to drag out that long. So I'm hoping in the next couple of months, maybe by the end of January, I'm hoping to have this read. I really, I'll just keep plugging away at it. I usually can pick back up with many of Dickens' books because they were serialized, and apparently they work well that way. So anyway, that's one. Number 2 here, Hillbilly Elegy by J.D. Vance, a memoir of a family and culture in crisis. Now, I started this earlier this year because I was reading Dopesick by Beth Macy, and there is kind of a synchronicity here with that reading because he's talking about growing up in Appalachia and the issues there. And Dopesick was addressing the opioid crisis, which did it start there, but it was running rampant there before anyone ever paid any attention to it. And Vance is very familiar with all of this, and so I wanted to get this read. I think I've just read a couple of chapters. I think I'm on chapter 3. I started it quite a bit earlier this year, but I would like to get this finished. I don't know if I'll finish it before the end of the year. Here's one that I started September maybe. Good Energy by Casey Means, MD. This is the surprising connection between metabolism and limitless health. I just want to get back into this, and this is going slowly on purpose. I'm not in any particular hurry, but it would be nice if I got this finished before the end of the year. Then Days of Rage by Brian Burroughs, kind of historical and political all at the same time. This is America's Radical Underground, the FBI, and the Forgotten Age of Revolutionary Violence. This has been incredibly informative for me. It talks about the things going on, at least in the United States here, in the late 60s, early 70s. All the revolutionary groups, Black Panthers, others. I was too young to be fully aware, if one can be, but to be on an adult level. I was just too young to really be aware of what was really going on around me. But I do remember an awful lot of this, these groups, these people, their names, things that would happen. And, I was just too young, and that's fine. Little ones shouldn't have to be dealing with this. But I look back on this era of the 60s and early 70s. Early 70s, I was getting a little closer, but I was not old enough to participate, and I am so thankful for that. So this is a little bit before my more adult era of life here. This is very informative for me to be learning the things that were going on. It helps to inform me about things that have been happening, that are happening. It's just, you know how history repeats itself. We should be learning from history. Anyway, it's a fascinating, and there's photos in here. There's a fascinating, it's a fascinating look at a fairly short period of our history here that I would like to get that finished soon-ish. I'm not actually very far in it. I thought I was further than that. Anyway, then this one, oh, hang my head in shame. I started this early this year. The Forsyte Saga by John Galsworthy. This is a bind up, so I can't feel too bad about it. This is 3 novels and 2 interludes. This is, I think, Edwardian, I think, and a family saga of the Forsyte family. I was interested, but I kept getting distracted by other things. So I have, you can see how much more I have to go. Just this here. I have the last novel in this bind up. I would like to finish it. It's not going to be a favorite of all time book, but I would like to finish it and kind of find out what happens with the Forsytes, I guess. And it tells you a little bit about that time period as well. So that one should have gotten finished a long time ago, but I did. I kept putting it down. This one here, you've seen it before, In Favor of the Sensitive Man and Other Essays by Anais Nin. It is a very slender little book here of essays, and I am on the last section of it. Probably have maybe 40 pages left in this. I have been intentionally reading this pretty slowly since September. They're essays, so I kind of dip in and out of it. I'm sure this will get finished by the end of the year, probably by the end of this month, pretty sure. And I will feel very good about that. I'm enjoying it. I maybe haven't gotten along so well with Nin's fiction, but I do like reading her essays, and I've read some out of her massive volumes of diaries. So very interesting, very informative of a time and place, I think, ways of thinking. And so I've been enjoying this, but this was on my shelf of shame since like 1990 or 91. It was a gift. So this I've wanted to and needed to, really. Why is it just still languishing? But I wanted to and needed to get this read. And, you know, it was a gift, and it had meaning at the time and still does. So this will get finished. It's so close to the end, so I'm very happy about that. And then this is something I got as a Christmas gift last year. I started it, I think, in January. The Backyard Bird Chronicles by Amy Tan. This is basically a field journal. These are entries in Amy Tan's field journal. The Backyard Bird Chronicles, it is pretty much what it says. She did the drawings, the entries you can see are, journal entries. I was very intentionally reading this slow, but I would like to finish it before the end of this year. I don't see a problem with that because it's not something that really takes a lot of time to read. But I've intentionally been so very, very slow with this because I don't want it to be over. I watch birds, I watch other critters, I've got my field glasses, yes. So, loving it. But that's been on the go for most of the year. Okay, so that was question number 1. Question 2, do you have an autumnal book to transition into the end of the year? Okay, yeah, I have several. Will I actually read them? Probably not. So I picked one of them off the shelf if I were going to, this is the one I would pick. And I have brought it up fairly recently as something I want to read. It's been on the shelf for a little while. It's called The Shooting Party by Isabel Colgate. And I just think setting-wise and topic-wise, this is a good autumnal read. And I think it would make a really good transition into the winter months and the reading I like to do then. I'll hold this here. It's an older book. See if you can, if that needs done even, I don't know. That'll tell you a little bit about it. It's not very long, but honestly, I'm looking at this stack over here and I'm just going, and the one I just showed you, and I'm thinking, and there are things I'm not showing you. I have a book club book to read. Yeah. So, but that's the one I would pick. There's that. So next question, what are 3 books you want to read before the end of the year? Well, there were a few I just showed you and indicated that I would like to get them, and think at least one of them, 2 of them, I will get read by the end of the year. But the 3 I pulled out, 3 that I have not started yet, but I'm pretty sure at least one will get read. Okay, probably 2. The 3rd one I'll get started. Okay, so Didion and Babbitts by Lily Analik. This is a biography. I've had it since last year, November last year, and I'm finally going to be reading this. In fact, I'm going to be starting it probably in the next few days. I want to have this read by the end of November, nonfiction November, plus other reasons, and I'll talk about those reasons more later. But I would really like to get this one finished before the end of the year. I have next to no doubt that will happen. So this is also fits into my personal project, reading the works of Joan Didion and the works of Eve Babbitts. So anyway, there's that. Then this one I will get started. At least get this started. I may have it read by the end of by the end of December. It might go into January. This is Victorian. I knew I wouldn't get it read for Victober. Victober was kind of a fail for me, really. But I knew that going in. But I started Bleak House. I wanted to start this, but anyway, the reality is I will be doing some Victorian reading during the winter months. And so this is slated to be a buddy read for December/January, whatever that means. So I'll check with my buddy, but it's not very long. I may end up reading this before the end of December. And I would be happy about that because I have not actually read, I've read some short bits by Trollope, and I think we'll get along. Would like to really get into this. This is The Warden, and it's part of the Barsetshire series of books. Barsetshire Chronicles, I think, is how you refer to that. So what's not to like? Victorian, Trollope, not really long. That doesn't happen very often. Those Victorians could really write long books. Then I will pull something off of my shelf to read in December, and I do Christmas reading December and more or less up to January 6th, up to Epiphany, the 12 days of Christmas. So I have a number of books on my shelf to read for Christmas, and I just pulled this off as a representative book, Fanny Flagg's A Redbird Christmas, and I heard about this from Jen's Reading Life, and it just sounded wonderful. I don't know if I've actually read anything by Fanny Flagg. It's one of those names I have known for a very long time. Everybody knows, close to everybody, Fried Green Tomatoes at the Whistle Stop Cafe. I don't think I watched the movie. Maybe? Well, I would probably remember it if I had. Anyway, I think it's just something I'm familiar with, and then it's a book, and I think this is an older picture of the author. So these books have been around for a while. But A Redbird Christmas, I heard that it's just a wonderful book to read. 2004, it looks like, is the publication date on that, copyright date. So I would like to read this one, but I might end up picking up something else. But I thought, you know, get something in here representative. Okay, so those are the three, plus the ones I'd already mentioned that I would like to finish, that are already started. Let's see. Is there a book, number 5, is there a book you think could still shock you and become your favorite book of the year? I don't think so. I do not think so. Maybe. So we'll just go past that. Let me back up. Question number 3. Apparently I skipped that. Is there a new release you're still waiting for? No. That's easy to answer. So since I'm a little bit out of order now, I will have these questions below in the description box and you can put them back in order. Sorry, I had a little glitch by skipping that one. So number 6, we're on the last one. Have you already started making reading plans for 2026? Of course I have. Would I be a good booktuber if I hadn't? I probably shouldn't say that because there are probably people out there who haven't. But of course I have. These are just thoughts right now. I hope some of them play out. I think some of them will. But right now, here's what I'm thinking. Okay, so for 2026, I have participated in something called the Japanese Literature Challenge since my book blogging days. I don't even know how far back. What number are we on? It's double digits. 20? Are we on 20? Are we past 20? I don't know. If not, we're getting real close. But book blogging days, that goes pretty far back. And this was a reading challenge started by Meredith at Dulce Belleza. She still has her book blog up. I think she still hosts this. I need to check. Anyway, she and I were buddies, book blogging buddies back in the day, and we still have kind of check up on each other once in a while. So I will link her blog below. And even if she's not hosting it officially or even doing this herself, I am going to continue. January, February is when this takes place. And I have always enjoyed just pulling out the Japanese literature. I'm very fond of it. And, you know, doing some reading in that area during those months. So, Q-Teen84. You've seen this on the shelf behind me. It just kind of lives over here, usually. Haven't read this Haruki Murakami book yet. I am a fan of Haruki Murakami. And this, when did this one come out? The Verso page on this is one of those weird ones where it's in the back of the book. This has a copyright, translation copyright, 2011 by Haruki Murakami. So it's looking like he translated himself. Anyway, I'll come back to that and talk about those things later. I used to have, I bought the hardback when it came out, so 2011-ish, let's just say. I no longer have that hardback. That's a separate story. We're not going to talk about it. I'm bitter. So anyway, more recently, I was able to replace it with this unread paperback copy that has the same cover that my hardback had. So I'm so happy about that. So that was some of the reason why this had not gotten read yet. But also, look how chunky it is. That's another part of the reason why it's not read. But I want to catch up on my Haruki Murakami reading, and I'll talk more about him later. But Q-Teen84 is on my dance card in January and or February if I need to stretch it that far. Then I've talked about this recently, The City and Its Uncertain Walls. I got that on our trip up to the little mountain town. This has a copyright of 2024 for the English language. And this is, did I say this already? The City and Its Uncertain Walls, Haruki Murakami. So I have talked about this recently, and so I won't go into that here. You can, if you need to, stop and read that if you missed my other talking about it. Anyway, I would like to read this in January, February as well and get caught up, but I will prioritize QT 84. So there's that. And then next, I would like, excuse me, I have a lot of books. I have a project I would like to do next year. Not fully developed, but I went ahead and I pulled some things to show you here. And it's a Mary Shelley reading project. And I have 2 fiction, 2 nonfiction, and then I'll tell you about this anthology down here last. I would like to do a reread of Frankenstein. Not necessary, but I wouldn't mind doing that. I have reread it one time. I first read this in my uni days, and this is my copy. This is my copy from, I think, sometime in the 1980s. Had to have been. So, has my annotations in it from back then. Yay! But I would like to reread it again, but not necessary. Not necessary. So that's kind of on the, let's think about this, but that would be nice. Then, Lodore by Mary Shelley, and look at that. Dueling pistols, roses, or flowers. I don't know what kind of flowers they are. They're not, well, they might be a type of rose. Dueling pistols, what up? Pink. I actually found out about this from Jennifer Brooks, and I will link her channel below. She passed away in January of 2024, I think it was. I think I kept that year straight. And we, in the BookTube community, really miss her. And in one of her videos, she actually had this very cover of this very, not copy, this is my copy, but she had this and I thought, oh, how pretty. And then she talked about it and I thought I should read that. I'd never even heard of this. And in case you need that there to know what it's about, there you go. And I would like to read this. Rediscovered Classics is it's from that series of books. It's not a shorty. It's not, I think it's under 500 pages. I wouldn't call it a chunkster. I don't know how quickly it will read. The font is pretty tiny. But I would like to get this one read. It's just something I'd not even heard of this. I'm not the Shelley expert, but you know, some familiarity with her. So I would like to read this. And when I get to this, I will probably mention it. See if anybody wants to buddy read with me. But back to Jenny. I'm doing this. I don't know if there's going to be an official We Love Jenny hashtag reading thing going on. There's someone I'm gonna check with and see if that will happen. But even if it's not, I have gotten so much out of her videos. Her videos are still up. Just know that she's not going to be answering if you comment. But it's a treasure trove. I just love. I'm still going through her videos. I'm trying not to rush through them. I will be sad when I've gotten through them all. But we had some wonderful crossover in our reading preferences, and so anyway, that's kind of what that's about there. Let me see. And then I have something that I've had for a while and just keep not getting it read. It's Romantic Outlaws, The Extraordinary Lives of Mary Wollstonecraft and Mary Shelley by Charlotte Gordon. I know a lot of you have read this, and I've had it and just have not gotten it read. And I don't know what's up with the pink and Mary Shelley, but there you go. I've read some of both authors. This Mary Wollstonecraft was Mary Shelley's mother. And so back in uni days, I read some things by both of them. And I I would really like to get this read. Let me know below in the comments if you've read that book. And then one that I've had for quite a long time. It's called The Monsters by Dorothy and Thomas Hubler. Mary Shelley and the Curse of Frankenstein, published 2006. I've had it at least since 2007. I'm not sure exactly when, but that's another nonfiction. I would love to finally get that read. And look at that creepy. That's kind of creepy. There are some pictures in the middle here, so some of them are a little disturbing. Anyway, I would like to get this read, The Monsters by the Hublers. Have you read this? Have you heard of it? Let me know in the comments. And then I have this here, English Romantic Writers by the editor, I guess, Perkins. This is really an old, I don't know if it's still used. This was from my uni days. This was a textbook. It's an anthology of the English Romantic Writers, edited by David Perkins, Harvard University, Harcourt Brace Jovanovich Publishers, and the date, 1967. And this was still being used in the 1980s when I was taking this class. So I need to go through this and see. I thumbed through very quickly. I didn't see Mary Shelley listed, which I just can't even imagine that's not the case. So I need to go see if there's anything in here that I should hold it this way, that I want to read that's by Mary Shelley. So they may not be complete works by any means. A lot of things in there are not. But I would like to just, for a project, I would go look at that. Then the last bit I have here, kind of another, one of them's another kind of project. An ongoing personal project, reading the Didion Babbitts, which plays into this, reading things coastal, LA and New York City, as the setting, as the author. Either one's fine. I've been kind of doing that as a personal project. And I have two here that I would like to read in 2026 that would fit that project. One is Valley of the Dolls by Jacqueline Susann, 50th anniversary edition. This is not my original copy. Again, bitter. I don't have my original copy, so I purchased a new one. And so yeah, I would like to get that read. I think it'll be quite titillating, scandalous even, I don't know. From the 60s, and yeah, New York City. And then this one here, published in 1984, it's Bright Lights, Big City by Jay McInerney. Here's the cover. Here's the author and the blurb. Let me see. And published 1984. I need to read this. I need to go back and read some more Bret Easton Ellis. Well, I only read one and I didn't even finish it. It was American Psycho. I put it down. I just could not deal with that book. I returned it to the store. It's a story for another time. But there is another book I have listed, at least one, by him. I want to give him another try. He would fit this category as well. But some things about New York and lifestyles from the 1980s. Yes, please. So that fits kind of into a reading project on several levels. Then this one, I'm pretty sure I will read this. Looking forward to it. This was a Christmas gift from Britta Bowler. Thank you again, Britta. Mother Mary Comes to Me by Arundhati Roy, a memoir. So this is kind of high on my list of things for 2026. Maybe we can, she's already read it, so maybe we can chat about it when I get it read. That would be fun. And then another book from my shelf of shame, I'm hanging my head. This is by an author that I love. She's an environmental author. I love her writing. She and I don't necessarily see eye to eye on things, but I always love her writing. It is called Red by Terry Tempest Williams. Passion and Patience in the Desert. There you go. Have you read her? This is a book that I had to have when it first came out. We were traveling. We were in Colorado traveling, and I got it from, I don't even know if this bookstore is still there, but I have the bookmark in here. There you go. From Valley Books and Coffee in Montrose, Colorado. The copyright on this book, this is why it's on my shelf of shame. The copyright is 2001. Additionally shameful because she is a favorite author. Why haven't I read it? And I had to have it. I had to have it. I bought it new, and then I never read it. Some things are just not explainable in this life. That's one of them. Anyway, I don't see her picture. Is her picture? Oh, inside. This is an older picture. So anyway, so this talks about the desert, Utah. And she put in here, for the Coyote Clan and America's Red Rock Wilderness. So that really needs to get read. It was kind of like my Anais Nin essays that just, every time I saw it, I just felt kind of guilty. I don't usually feel guilty for things I haven't read, but there's some things. That's why I started calling it the Shelf of Shame, you know, because it's like, man, I am so blessed. I have books everywhere, and I'm reading all the time, and those were special in some way, and they remain unread. Maybe I'm purposely doing it subconsciously because I don't want to have read it for the first time and not have that experience left to me. I don't know. I don't know what my problem is, but that happens sometimes. So yeah, Shelf of Shame. So those are my books for the tag, end of the year book tag. And I don't generally tag people. I just say the questions will be below in the description box. And if you would like to do this tag, please do. A lot of people are doing this right now. And so I need to go watch some more of those. And but please, if this appeals to you, I would love to see your video talking about these things too. So anyway, I need to wrap this up. This is very long, and I will talk to you again soon, book friends. Bye-bye.